Hello. It has been a minute, but I'm back. Had a lot going on the past week or two, so sorry I haven't posted anything in a minute. But before I get into animation, I wanted to make a video here just to get this CSS cleaned up. I was looking through this project where we left it last time. The CSS is kind of messy. There's kind of a lot going here on the index page. And then over here in site CSS, we have some of our general styles, but some of the stuff that's actually probably more general rules belongs over here. So I just am going to work on that first. We also got a little bit to clean up here. This button probably needs some padding on the left. And I think I want these list items to be individual kind of boxes instead of a large box of elements with separators like that. All right, so first thing is let's get some of this stuff out of here. So this header 1 and this main thing, at least header 1 is probably a page-wide concern, which is that we want the top level header centered. The main, maybe not. So I'll leave main here for now, but we are going to move header 1 over to site CSS first thing. So put this under here. And then also these button styles that are kind of strewn about here. There's a lot of stuff that's kind of shared here that is a general button style. So definitely this, where we have button cursors being pointers, that's something we want. We would probably want site-wide. So I'm going to move that over here. We'll get these reordered in a nice way shortly. Some of the other button stuff, I think most of this here. So let's see here. The border, probably not the border radiuses or this padding right here is kind of specific to that button. Though really I think this should be padding inline so that we get a little bit on both sides. I think that's actually what I want. That looks a bit better. I might want a little bit less on the left, but we'll leave it alone for now. So this one and this border, I think, are general styles that we want. So we're going to put those over here. And now you see the X buttons look a little bit weird because we don't want this inline padding on those X buttons. But I'm still going to treat it as the default button style and just make an exception for these red buttons to say that they have a padding inline of 0. Because they are kind of exceptional buttons rather than the rules. The border radius is fine. The width and height are specific. Yeah, this is all kind of specific stuff. So that's fine. I think most of this input stuff we probably want across the board. I'm looking at it here. Maybe some of it. I think the padding in the border on the input is probably something general. Okay. So it gives us the same thing, but like I said, we're moving some of these more general rules. It's a little bit weird on this site because we only plan on having it on one page, so most of this is a little bit different. Okay. I think I got a lot of that done. There's some other stuff in here. Somebody pointed out to me after I did this, which was right here on this font size. What we probably should do is have the body have that font size right here. Remove body here, and we forgot select. And instead of having them have a font size of default font size, we can just say font size inherit, and that will give us the same thing. That says that the font size should be inherited from the parent element, which will cause it to reflect the body font size, which is what we want. So that should work. Let me just see something real quick. That button size change if we do that? No. Okay. Yeah, we're good. All right. What else? Trying to think if there's anything else that I saw in here that we needed to fix. I didn't like. Oh, I think before we get to the changing the way the list is displayed. Okay. There's something else I want to talk about here, and this has to do with locality. Some people, it depends on the size of your site, it depends a little bit on taste, but you may not want this situation where we're kind of styling the whole page hierarchy up here and then having the hierarchy again down here. And I think that there is a case here for doing some inline CSS. So for example, this main, instead of having it in a page level style tag, since there's only one main, we might just take this and instead do it inline. This will give you a little bit that tailwind looking thing without being all the bad things that come with tailwind. Okay, so we can just put it right there on main with a style attribute. And then we don't need this. And we're going to do similar things here with the rest of this. So add form, delete that, go down to our add form, and we can just put a style on this, put that stuff there. And then this input and button are really talking about one specific input and one specific button. So same thing. We don't need a general page level style here. So we can go down and put that right on the input and the button. So just style equals, same as before. Put that there. Okay. I did copy that a little bit wrong. It got the line breaks, so all right, there we go. Right, and then the button, same thing. We're going to bring it into one line. Delete that. Go down to this button and set its style equal to that. And we are getting there. Right, now this to-do list, I think on this to-do list, we're going to do the same thing for some of these. We're not going to do it for these LIs because these are the repeating things, and we don't want to write these styles. Well, I think they're in a template. We might be able to. Yeah, we could do it right in this template. So let's try that and see how that looks. So let's put these on to-do list. So let's go down to to-do list here. Style equals. Okay. And the li here. We're actually going to get rid of this border bottom thing in a moment, so we don't so much need to worry about this, which is good because pseudo elements are going to make things a little bit difficult. So for right now, I'm just going to get rid of this, and I'm going to get rid of this border bottom. And let's delete that for the list items. We'll go down here and put it right in here. Style equals. And since we're using the template tag and we're kind of cloning that as we make items, that'll work just fine. All right. And then for the label, let's put that right there. Lost my clipboard. Okay, there's the label styling. And now we want the input styling on the checkbox to have that display none. So here we're just going to style equals, paste that in, and now we got our display none down there in line. Okay, so we can get rid of this, this. Okay. All right, this one's a little bit trickier, but we're going to do something there to make that a little bit more local too. So this is if you like very local styles instead of having this separate thing up here. It does make the HTML a little bit messier down here, but all your styling is very local to the thing that you're working on. And when our styles are specific to an element, it is the right thing to do, maybe. I think most of the time this is what we want to do. All right, we're going to leave that one alone. That one's a little bit tricky. But this button, I'm going to get these all together and put those on the button. Okay, and now our button is a little bit better. Reformat some of this to read a little bit nicer. Okay, and now our button's done for. And now all we have left is this pseudo element. This pseudo element's a little bit trickier. We can't really do this inline. I don't believe. So what we're going to do instead here is we're just going to kind of shorten up this style to not be nested. So we can just do one style. And now we have that there. We don't actually need to be that specific. We can be like, well, a label anywhere under the to-do list that has an input checkbox has this strike through style. And that's plenty specific. And everything's still working, just our styles are inline. So we have a much shorter page, looks a little bit nicer, and all of our general styles are over here. So this shortened up the page a bit, did make our HTML messier, but like I said, our styles are very local to what they apply to, and it's very clear that these aren't where these styles apply, that they aren't repeating things. All right, so this one, we can actually do something here too. So since this is a pseudo element, we can't really put it like in a style thing. One, it has several pseudo elements. Two, it's kind of a crazy selector. But what we can do is we can take the style block and we can put it down right here. If we want something very local, let's say that this only applies to-do list spans of this style. We actually might want to, since it's talking about the span, we might want to put it down here right above the span. And then one other thing we can do, some people like this, a second, is we can put it inside the span to make it clear that it's talking about the span. And it's talking about a to-do list. So we do still have to kind of select the span. Just because the style tag is here doesn't mean that it has that scoping. There is a proposal out for CSS scoping that would allow us to do this a little bit shorter and just kind of a self thing and actually use the location of the style tag in the DOM for context. We can't do that now, so we do still have to write the long selector, but we can put it down here so it's very local to the thing that we're styling. And this gives you that kind of locality that you get with Tailwind without having to resort to Tailwind, and with still writing CSS where you have complete control over everything. All right, so with that fixed up, okay, so I still have my global CSS, I have this over here. We're going to turn these into individual kind of items. So I want a border around the items instead of a border around the UL. So first thing I'm going to do is get rid of this border on the UL. And as you can see, it was really easy for me to get to. I just went to the UL, and here's our style. So we can get rid of the border and border radius. We don't need the padding anymore either, since there's no border. We're kind of not really looking at it. We do still want the width and the list style. So now it looks like that. And there is no kind of parent thing. So now we're going to put those little ovals around the individual items. And those individual items are these ULs. So we can just do border. Actually, we should look at what we had on there. Okay, AAA. Okay. Right. So let's do border 1px solid AAA. Okay, then we see that's there. We can do a border radius of, start there. Maybe if we want those fully rounded things, we'll use a big number here. And that'll give us that full rounding. And now we want some padding and probably some margin on those so that there's space between them. So let's put padding on it. I think this is all the way around padding. We're going to want like 10 pixels or so. Okay. I think that looks okay. We might want 10 pixels on the top and bottom, but more on the left and right to bring that more inward. So the way we can do that is with padding. If we provide two numbers, the first one is the top bottom and the second one is the left right. So if I did this, yeah, it'll keep the top and bottom at 10, but we can make this left and right different. 50 is probably a lot. Let's do 20. Okay, I think that looks okay for now. I might want 15. Okay. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Now my only thing is that I want some space in between these things. So as we add items, they're showing like that, but I want space in between them. So we can do that a few ways, but probably the easiest way is just to put a margin bottom on these to say that they have just maybe 10 pixels underneath them. So we'll put margin bottom 10 pixels. And there we go. Now they're separated out and we have these individual items, which is kind of what I think that I want. I don't know if I like these being rounded the same way that this is. Also, you might have noticed this came back. There's this weird kind of gap here. I'm pretty sure I know what it is, but just to show how I'd check, is we can go here and we can click that and look in the inspector, find out where that space is coming from. And there we can see it. It's that purple thing there. And bring this up a little bit so we can see. And it is that purple thing there. And it is telling us that we are looking at the UL, and the purple there in the bottom left says 40. So there is a 40 pixel left padding on the UL. And that is just the default UL style. So we're going to get rid of that. So we're going to tell the UL explicitly that it has 0 padding. So we did get rid of the explicit padding on it. but we do want that because we do need to tell it the default behavior is to put some padding. So we don't need to put px. If we do 0, we don't need a unit. 0 is always means 0. So there we go. That's looking a little bit better. Yeah, like I said, everything's kind of super rounded here, and I think maybe I want less rounding on these items. So we can drop this so that they're a little bit more square to something lower. It still gives us some rounding on the corners, but they look, you know, kind of like square items instead of rounded like that top thing does. So that looks a little bit better. And I think we're done and almost ready to move on to animation. I might do something more interesting with these backgrounds. This is looking really plain right now, but some of that's intentional. But anyway, as you can see, by just using inline styles and being a little bit clever about how we place this style tag, we can get that kind of locality trade-off that you get with Tailwind. I think it's often a decent trade-off. I think that's why Tailwind has so much appeal, is at first glance, it makes the HTML look a lot busier. But when you start working with it, it's actually kind of nice because, you know, if you have anything that's specific to a certain element, you can find the style a lot easier than trying to like find the element and then trying to map what the style tag up here maps onto down here. And now we have no page level styles, and that is because we don't have a place for them. So the idea is over here we put site level styles. So this is stuff that happens on every site. I probably want to nest this actually. So this is stuff that happens on every page on the site. And then the next level down is up here. Our style tag would be everything that just applies to this page, but to several elements on this page. So kind of every time you run into this thing on the page. And then down in here, we have styles that are very specific to the exact element we're talking about. For this particular app, that's what we want because we're doing a lot of styling specific to this pairing so that we get this rounded kind of joined text box and button. And these styles are repeating per element, but because we have a template tag, we've kind of already taken care of that idea that these are repeating things that have not only shared style, but shared HTML stuff on them. You know, now that I think about it, one thing that's probably not great about this, it's nice to have this style local, but since it's in a template tag, we're actually re-rendering that style tag on every single element. So I probably don't want to do this. We might put this, we could put it here before the template. But at this point, since we can't get it very local, we might just put it back in the head and just do it that way. And that might be just fine. We are still getting repeats on these styles here for the inline attributes instead of having a style up here, but that's kind of okay, I think. Well, let's see here. Maybe we should think about that. I guess we could bring this down here and refer to this a little bit differently. So instead, we could say that we are actually talking about can't use this selector because when we're rendering these things, we're actually pulling the content out of the template. But we no, I think we'll leave it the way it is for now. We could think about maybe a different way to do that at some point, but okay. So I think this looks a lot better. I know, like I said, the HTML looks a lot messier, but the page is a lot shorter. Everything's really local, and everything looks real nice. I don't have anything on the JavaScript at this point. We're going to be cleaning up. Our CSS looks pretty good at this point. And our HTML looks good. So actually, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to do those cleanup things, and I wasn't going to record it into a video, but I'm trying not to do too much stuff offline at this point in the videos. All right. See you guys for the next one. Like and subscribe as always.